Hey guys, this is Smiles from Swiss Crypto Podcast, and in this podcast I'm gonna talk about big money. I'm gonna talk about pension funds, their assets, and how they are now investing into cryptocurrencies. So stay tuned and let's get into it. Before we start, if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, make sure to click the subscription button down below and click the bell to get notified. I try to upload at least once a week, more or less, and bring some well-researched content right to you. So I have made a video in the past about universities that are now investing into cryptocurrencies. And universities aren't really the only institutions, the special institutions that are now investing into cryptocurrencies. Pension funds who manage a lot of money are now also looking for other investment opportunities to grow their investment, and they are now also discovering cryptocurrency for their investments. But first, let's have a look how much money pension funds really manage and about what digits we're talking about here. In America alone, pension funds control about 25 trillion with a T dollars. In Canada, it's 1.7 trillion dollars. To give you a few examples from Europe, Switzerland manages about $906 billion in pension funds, and Germany about $472 billion. So we are talking really big money here, and I'm pretty sure there's quite a big piece of cake of that money waiting for the cryptocurrency environment. Next, I want to show you guys in what kind of assets those pension funds usually invest and how the percentage of that is distributed. I have here a chart with the asset allocation of 2017 of all pension funds from different countries around the world. If you're just listening, keep on listening. I'm gonna read everything to you. If we take Switzerland first, we have 33% that is invested into equity, 34% into bonds, 28% into other investment opportunities, and about 4% into cash. So the investments made by pension funds from Switzerland are quite evenly distributed, as you can see. If we take Australia, for example, we have 49% of equity, only 14% in bonds, 22% of other investments, and 15% of cash. And from this list of 2017's asset allocations, Australia is really the leader when it comes to investments in cash. They invested 15% of their whole assets that they manage into cash. If we take Japan, they are a bit more conservative with that. They invested only 4% into cash, and the main part make up the bonds. Japan invested 56% of their pension funds into bonds. So you can see from those examples there are very different strategies from country to country, but more or less, if you want to break it down, it's spread between equity, bonds, other investments, and cash, whereas cash makes up only a little amount of the invested money. Let's say 1% up to 15% in Australia. Now, what return on investments do those pension funds get from those investments that they do? I have a chart here. If you look at the 1 year total asset growth in US dollar, you can see that was, with all countries analyzed, was about 13.1%. The 10-year total asset growth was 4.5%, and the 20-year total asset growth in US dollar was about 6.2%. So 6.2% guaranteed, more or less, total asset growth is quite a good percentage in my opinion. And I know exactly what you guys are thinking now. Well, those pension funds have a lot of money and they only had total asset growth of 6% in the last 20 years. The cryptocurrency space can manage to do that easily. And yes, you are totally right. I'm pretty sure the cryptocurrency market will outplay this 6.2% in over 20 years by far and very easily. We've now been 10 years in the cryptocurrency space since Bitcoin has been launched, and I'm pretty sure we've grown over 6% since then. So it makes perfect sense for pension funds to also consider cryptocurrency as an investment place. As you could see before, pension funds invested about 1 up to 15% of their total assets into cash. That's why I'm pretty sure they will now consider to invest some of that money also into cryptocurrencies. And there were actually the very first pension funds that started investing into cryptocurrencies this February. Those pension funds came from the US and Canada, and they've become investors in venture capital funds that are worth 30 to 40 million dollars. If we take the US pension fund and look a bit closer, they invested into a venture capital fund of $40 million, and the reported companies to have invested in such crypto funds, they reportedly invested about 0.3 to 0.8% of their total assets. So you see, there's a lot potential for growth if we take the 1 up to 15% of cash investments that pension funds usually do. If we take Canada as an example, we've also had one pension fund from Canada that invested into cryptocurrency funds. That was the biggest public pension fund, and it invested $34 million by buying Ethereum directly. And this is a bit special because, as you could see before, pension funds are quite conservative when it comes to investing into new models and also when it comes to investing into cash. So directly investing into a cryptocurrency that is now living in a market that is quite volatile at the moment still really takes some balls. Congrats to the Canadian public pension fund to do that. But what I believe will happen in the future is that pension funds come out and invest into blockchain and crypto companies, not the cryptocurrencies only and directly. I'm sure they will also buy cryptocurrencies, but only to a small percentage. Let's say of their total investment that they want to do, I'd expect them to put about 5 to 10% into cryptocurrencies directly and to invest the rest of it into cryptocurrency companies. Just because they are a safer option and they have less volatility than the cryptocurrencies themselves in the market. And one thing I just wanted to put out there before we end this podcast, I want to make sure that you get this. Those pension funds, they invested this February 2019 into cryptocurrencies and cryptocurrency companies, and they expect asset growth of at least 6% over the next 20 years. So this is a very big sign for us, and it also should give us some support in our opinion or little expertise that we give when it comes to growth in the cryptocurrency space, because they are now investing at the really bottom where the cryptocurrency space was in a bear market, in a heavy bear market since several months, since over a year. And that should show us that all hope isn't lost at all, and that we'll have a pretty nice future coming right at the cryptocurrency space. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this podcast. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to subscribe. That will mean a lot to me. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next podcast.